with you guys traveling through the Underdark, you've managed to come to some type of chamber that has been sealed by some sort of outside being. After making your way through, you've regrouped with the Ashen Table members and begun scouting the area for any sort of sign of where the other creatures of the Underdark may be. After spending almost an hour searching, you found a hint of a rift being opened, thanks to Seren. After making way there, you were actually intercepted by a single drow and creatures, abominations, from below. You've culled them, and now you have a drow at your mercy, but with a voice still listening. The battlefield is quiet at the moment. There's bodies strewn across. The small swarms of the insectoid creatures have been dismissed, and you have a brief reprieve to do anything you must. At this point, Aaron, when you have the opportunity, you dispel your banishment.
Oh, hello there.
Hello.
And
are we all strategically positioned around him? Like,
yeah,
with Loki and-
yeah. At this point, Aaron's pointed out where he was going to reappear by one of the piles of bones.
Okay. I'm standing somewhere between the second group because I have range anyway.
Mm-hmm. Sachiko's still in the back distance, just finishing off the runes for the circle around the rift itself. And as you drop banishment out of thin air, the drow reappears, kind of falling partially to his knees, and then the three of you.
Well, more of us.
Well, the one's in melee range. What are you planning to do? Are you trying to grab him or finish him off?
We're just all surrounding him and looking threatening, I think.
Okay.
No, I look fabulous.
Well, yes, you look fabulous, I'll look threatening. It's fine.
And he's heavy breathing from the cuts Ithamore had dealt to him previously.
So how was your trip?
We'll accept your surrender now.
I failed. And every word he speaks is in, obviously in Elvish. He doesn't speak Common. Fortunately, most of you here know Elvish, so it's not a problem.
Well, two of us do, I think.
Yeah, I don't.
I don't.
Oh, you don't? I thought you
I don't
did.
delegate this either.
Okay then.
So it's basically Ithamore and Aaron.
Ithamore and Aaron. Okay. I thought you did for some reason. Then never mind. Aaron.
Why don't
And-
they speak elf?
I have no idea.
No, it's dwarf and about.
Oh, yeah, I speak dwarf because the
Dwarf.
belt. I speak draconic, and that's it. I'm primordial.
You need a headband of elven time.
That is a thing. So Ithamore, you would have to translate. But I failed. And he looks up with his kind of cold eyes kind of sagging as he's lost of energy. What do you want? And he kind of slouches back onto the pile of bones, kind of half kneeling.
I'm just sort of waiting for someone to translate.
Well, we do in real time.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll say you do it in real time. It's fine.
Who did he fail?
Me. As you feel this voice creep into the back of your head again.
I wasn't
Yeah, what's
talking
your
to
name?
you, muffinless bastard.
Did you ask a question, Aaron?
Yeah, what's your name then?
I am. begins convulsing, and from his kind of seeping eyes, you see the red of his irises turn purple as he convulses onto the pile of bones. He is unimportant.
Well, then what's your name?
I have told you mine.
Oh, I'm sorry, I don't remember your name.
That is also unimportant. What you want, only I can provide you.
I thought you said you didn't have muffins.
You want purpose. What is the
well,
reason of being
pretty
down
clear on
here? The power I was given by the Endless One. Let me peer at your simple desires. And I know you want purpose. I was lost as well. And he can help you as well. Join me.
What language is he speaking at this point?
At this point, he's actually speaking common.
Okay. The Endless One, is that who gave you the book?
The book is him.
Alright, folks, he's got the book. Excellent.
Answers that question.
Right.
Will you join me? I'm sure the purpose will be as great for you as it is for me.
Personally, I'll pass.
Yeah,
I'm
think
good,
I'm gonna pass
actually.
as
Thank
well.
you.
Thanks for,
Yeah,
the
our
thanks for
purpose
your
is to stop
consideration.
you.
Hmm. Hmm. Expected. But it is always worth a try.
Well, how about we come see you in your castle anyway?
Please do.
Alright.
I am sure the guards will be most welcoming.
Ooh, party. Excellent.
And then the body goes limp. And just clatters into the bones and rolls down.
Alright.
Is it, like, not moving?
I
Yeah.
jab in gently with my sword just to see if he reacts.
With the pointy end? It's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Not
nothing.
like a full-on strike, just like a little. Oh,
Yeah, no reaction.
I'll check if he's dead.
Yes.
I would like to check his body.
Okay. You loot his body.
Well, not
For
looting
muffins.
necessarily. But I want to. Well, I mean, if he's got any daggers, I'll take them. But I want to see if there's any signs of like maybe where he might have been.
Okay.
Because I'm still trying to figure out what the drow are.
Yeah, I'll say give me an investigation check.
Nope.
Okay. Wait, what was it in total?
9.
9. Okay. You find some basic stuff. The clothing he was wearing is definitely unlike other drow clothing. There's colour to it. There's almost a sense of personal dignity in it instead of just the uniform silver and black. It's actually quite well made.
So he's a fashion conscious drow.
You would think that. He also has a wand on him.
Ooh! He's a wand user.
I will pass the wand to Seraphina.
Seraphina's in the back, but yeah, you can take it and pass on.
Throw it on her.
Yeah, making sure that Sissy there's no kid.
And you find he has some silver coins in a small pouch.
How many silver coins?
Wow, 9.
Okay. I'll pop them in my pocket for now, and I'll put them in the bag holder later.
Okay. They are slightly different to Valesian, but they're silver coins nonetheless.
And nothing else, like no weapons or anything.
Apart from this wand.
No, he doesn't even have a dagger.
No.
Oh, I take his boots.
Does he have any? What?
You pull off his boots. They are kind of strapped ones, but you can unstrap them. Yeah.
Have any holy symbols on?
He does not.
Right, now I've removed his boots, I would like to hand them to Savant and say, can you figure anything out from his shoes? I read it in a book once.
Yeah, probably his shoe size.
Well, like, is there anything in the treads, or like, I don't know.
Sound will sit down Indian style.
I'll give one to Savant, and I would like to inspect the other, based on Ulan's like nature stuff.
Sure.
Hold on, what kind of books are you reading?
Crime novels?
Nancy Drew, yeah.
Sound will sit down Indian style and do his ranger thing.
All right.
Nature check.
I would say you can give me an investigation to see what you notice from him, Ulan. Savant, you can give me a survival.
I guess
Could I
9
get
is
the
the roll of the day
using
again.
my...
9 is a roll. Last week it was 11. Now it's 9.
Can I get advantage for using my goggles?
Does it give advantage? I thought it was just investigation.
Investigation.
Yeah.
Question. Because looking at finer details.
Well, he is doing an investigation.
He's trying to work out, so he's doing survival. Actually, no, it is investigation. Actually, yeah, you're trying to look for specific small points. So yeah,
It's
investigation.
intelligence based rather than
Yeah,
wisdom
yeah.
based. Yeah.
Yeah. Which means it's worse.
You have advantage though.
Yeah. I have advantage.
Call 1 and 2.
1s and 2s. No, 17, 18. You don't have. Wow. Okay. Yeah.
No, I've been doing investigation the entire time. I have no idea what I'm doing.
He's like, yeah, when you look at these boots, it's easily clear that he's been down here for a very long time. All that's in his boots is bone dust and the same kind of strange earthy texture that's the ground around you, which isn't normal colored, it's kind of greeny. And it's not moss, you're pretty sure.
Is it a leather boot?
It is slightly darker than the area you guys are currently in.
Question, is it a leather boot?
They are leather boots, yes.
You're gonna smell the leather boot. Is it good quality leather?
No, it is not. Not at this point.
Savant, why are you smelling that grouse shoe?
Having seen Savant do this, Ulan is also going to smell the boot.
Oh.
As if it's like, is that a thing that's done?
You're just
can we
copying him,
figure
yeah.
out what kind of animal the leather might be from? Like, is it really thick
It's
leather?
difficult for you to figure out. Like,
And
this
ranger
is. Do you have proficiency in nature?
I have proficiency in nature.
Okay, you can give it a try. Yeah.
In meantime, Savant is gonna start to try.
Wow.
Wow.
Nicely done.
22.
So this was from a cow called Bessie.
It's still quite difficult considering one, it's tanned and you have no color to really identify exactly what type. But the texture does remind you more along the lines of not so much lizard, but more kind of something more scaly.
Okay. That's the kind of thing that I was after. If it was like a from down here creature or
Yeah.
a bit like...
It's
Okay.
definitely from a creature down here. Probably one you haven't even found yet.
Scales. Interesting.
But the very small scales. Very small.
Savant is
Are
gonna
they
do
small scale scales?
Very small scales, yes. Savannah?
Savant will try to. I missed the conversation. Where is the boots from, actually? Was in a call.
The boots?
Well, what did we take the boots from?
Oh,
They
the
are
drow.
From the drow.
Yeah.
Yes. Savant is then going to track the boot steps.
You
Wasn't
can
he riding?
attempt. He was riding, so you're not going to find any.
Writing, we won't find track.
You can follow the giant footprints.
The big
Yeah.
He was on the hemorrhoid beast, wasn't
Yeah, you can follow the behemoth, but yeah.
he? Which direction... Can we go back to the map of the cave?
Sure. Is this one, I believe? Yes. my wonderfully drawn.
Can you give us like an arrow to show where the behemoth was coming from?
Yeah.
Was it over on the east?
It was coming from almost pretty much in this direction.
Oh, he came from down there. Okay.
It looked like he was also doing some type of patrol before being directed.
Okay, and this is where we came in.
Yes.
And when we did our thing, we went out round this way and round the edge, and the portal didn't open until we got back.
Yeah, until you got back to where the dragon is, and then you saw it.
And this over here, that's the light coming from the city.
Yes, which you have not actually explored yet.
And is this the
Yes,
dome?
that is the dome.
Let's go to
And
the
that's
home.
the crack in the ceiling.
Yes.
Let's go to home
And
base.
smiley face in the corner.
Well, before we go to home base, let's wait until the ritual sealing the thing is finished.
Oh yes.
Yes.
After that.
Which at this point is just finishing, which you hear. It's kind of almost a flash of light, almost lightning speed, that is just with very faint ringing. The energy that you've all been feeling, the thrumming in the air, begins to die down, almost just to almost how like someone's powering down. It just and any of you with high enough perception can see that the cracks on the rift begin to actually almost reform. It's not completely gone. You've still got the very faint main carving, but the rest has begun to renew itself into place. As Sechiko closes the book and takes a long deep breath. I think we're done for today. Well done. It was quite impressive to hear you all fighting. Unfortunately, I couldn't watch.
It didn't last long anyway.
Yeah, you didn't miss much.
Oh.
Although Aaron was pretty clutch.
She turns around and sees the carnage of the several dozen ghouls and the Benoit in the background. It's like, oh.
The heap of dead behemoth, yeah.
Yeah. It's like, huh? Oh. It's a shame I missed so much.
I'm sure Master Aaron will tell you all about it.
Don't let him be modest though, alright? Whatever he says he did, it was at least 3 times better than that. And I'm gonna give him like a very unsubtle like thumbs up.
I will look very confident and manly.
Was that I will look competent?
Confident.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say competent was like.
You
do
know,
you
I
need to
heard
roll for that?
competent too.
Shut up.
Wow. Wow.
Wow.
That's the difference between deception and performance, isn't it? Confidence rather than competence.
That is the difference, yes.
Well, I think
You can totally do that. Yeah, I don't think it's a problem for you to think about different things. And
We have traumas and other things we can think of.
Yeah.
I'm
with
going to think about the earworms and I think the jokes and leave the punchline off to try and irritate the mind reader.
you can certainly try. With
Darren and Syndication think about dwarf sex at that point.
aren't they always?
that's not the worst thing.
Like, isn't that a given?
But with both Booker leading you guys. You don't have to worry about traveling. You just have to.
Booker's leading us. He's blind. Can we have somebody else do it?
Well, we need to get there quickly, and he is good at booking it. So.
Just because I am a bad shot doesn't mean I'm blind.
Oh, sorry. I thought that was a given.
We can test it if you wish.
You can make out later. Let's get back to the safe place.
And it isn't too much of a trouble. You begin making your way, and as you begin leaving out through this pile of bones, you travel across the some of the open areas, keeping to points of high terrain to keep yourself covered. There isn't much in the way of creatures in this direction. Either they're mostly in the bone piles, but the further north you travel, there's less. But it doesn't stop your path, and you travel forwards. As you make your way towards the bubble, you will catch that voice again. That seems almost wanting your attention.
Aww.
Are you trying to misdirect me?
So everyone thinks even harder.
On even dirtier subjects.
It's fine.
Oh, good. Might learn a thing or two.
I did hope that the diversion was... And you will step through the barrier.
Was what? Oh.
And as you step through, you can see several of the others just waiting for you guys. Arkin sitting by the table, kind of just a sense of anxiety waiting for you guys to return.
I'm gonna go straight up to him and kind of
Ulan,
wait till everybody sort of gathers around. Right, the voice in our heads has the book. He's at the Alithid stronghold place, and it sounds like most of his forces are there as well.
that is as we
I
expected.
We've encountered some drow down here. Well, a drow.
Adra.
Riding one of those. Oh, you weren't even there. Riding a. How would you describe it, Ro? The things that were chucking rocks at the Mirror Forge. Behemoth.
Yes, one of the aberration behemoths. Right.
The rift thingy is sealed.
Good.
I hope that is that permanent or is it temporary or what?
It should naturally help it close. I imagine, Setchiko, it was you? She just nods, and then slips off towards one of the warmer chairs.
It looked like something was trying to push through it. I mean, is that normal? Is that what would have happened with one of these book portals, or is that some other thing going on?
Didn't we establish that this is a symptom of something bigger being open somewhere else?
Yes. He did say diversion.
Okay.
Yeah. It's also something pushing through as the way the portal opened when we were down in the...
With the demon thing.
Yes, that's how the demon came through the portal as well.
The direction is more like something is bursting at the seams. Not
So,
like someone...
the divide between the realms is frayed and things are shoving their way
It's
through.
I think it's naturally breaking, and they're finding weak points to come
Right.
through,
Well,
basically.
we know that this whole
The
area
rats in the walls.
is a thin patch with the Shadowfell.
Right.
So, I mean,
Also something to note, they're basically 2D.
with the portal in King's Arch, I assume that there's no thinness between the planes there. if they open a portal like that here, where there is a weakness, is that going to be worse? Is it going to, like...
That would be
punch
much
more
worse,
holes? Is it
yes.
Right.
Just the reasoning behind it was several. Well, they have a lot of cards in their favor. That being one of them. The other, I'm assuming they're a little more prepared than what happened in King's Arch. They probably
There
have
was
more.
one guy with a book.
They probably have more energy prepared, more magic. Probably.
More energy prepared?
Yes, it takes a lot of energy to maintain a portal.
So they're going to be able to hold it open longer, or make it bigger, or open it faster, or...
I wouldn't know, but one of those is probable, yes.
I have a question.
He did also just say it was a diversion. Now, did he mean the diversion was the drow? That the portal was a diversion?
I have
Well,
a feeling it's the rift.
I don't think he necessarily controlled the rift, right? If it's a symptom of something else.
He would have to be there.
True.
Like, I mean, it's possible that he hopped on the sending stone and asked someone from the other side to poke through and say hello, but
True.
It didn't. If that was meant to be some kind of diversion, it didn't exactly do much of a good job, did it? It distracted us for a few minutes.
Not even that.
But maybe long enough.
Or
Well,
something to
But like,
yeah.
it was a pretty pointless distraction, because if they were doing something somewhere else anyway, we wouldn't have been able to get there in time. So,
True.
pretty weak source distraction.
Let's hope it wasn't all he needed.
Well, I have
Well, if he's gonna start, what's the difference between him starting to open the thing and him not having opened the thing yet? I mean, as soon as we attack, if he's not started opening the portal, he'll start opening it. So,
I'm hoping you didn't use too much of your resources.
I could use a wee bit of a sit down,
Hmm.
but
Maybe that's what he was after.
perhaps. Lord, I've still got some juice.
I can keep going.
I've been trying to come up with some solution of how we're going to get there. For a group as large as us, all of us, there's not that much we can do apart from, well, if some way we could open a gateway inside, but that's far too difficult to do. The only other thing is several dimension doors, and even then, we're talking at least 5, possibly more trips.
Well, hang on. What are we talking about?
Voice did express a desire to meet us, so some of us could go in openly and the others could sneak in.
That is what I came to next, yes.
Please no.
Well, bear in mind when we were on our way down here trying to get past the ley lines, wasn't there an option available that could have transported all of us? Of like, how did we got past the ley line, and that was like what, 400 yards, right?
Yes. Yes, that was a small gateway. That was the furthest it can go, unfortunately.
Is that something
Okay.
you'd be able to do again?
Today, yes.
And is that something that where you need to see your destination, or
Yes.
okay, so you couldn't like
Take us behind a wall or something.
yeah.
Unfortunately, no. You have to see the other side.
And you can't look through someone else's eyes? Something like that? Being with magic?
How would I do that?
Well, Sachiko knows how to scry. Doesn't she?
I can't see Sechiko's eyes.
Oh, you're
Does
missing
it
a
have
lot.
to originate from? I'm just gonna ignore what Aaron just said.
Yeah, just keep going, please.
Does the gateway have to originate from you, or does
Yes.
it? Okay.
It appears in front of me.
So hypothetically, let's say we could get a vantage point where you can see over the walls, and we can get from
That's
that vantage
not
point.
going to happen. As Ro kind of steps forwards again, or kind of leans from her chair. Their little city is kind of large.
Aye.
And it doesn't really have walls. It's more of a cocoon. The only way of seeing in is breaking it.
Well, I'm just wondering if we can use the gateway to at least get past the golems.
As Arkin just lets out a sigh. You'll get away past the golems.
I don't like the sound of that. What are you planning?
There's enough of us here to stop a small army. And there's enough of you to stop a ritual. You've seen it before. You're actually the only ones that have seen a ritual similar to this before. You know what to do. It is for the best if we allow you the best chance to get in. We don't know where it is, but I'm sure you can find it. It won't be too difficult. I imagine if he's starting, it's going to be, well, quite obvious.
Is this kind of ritual he'd need to do out in the open? And yeah, it's the same ritual we saw in the same portal that we saw in King's Arch.
Yeah.
So.
But it was the ritual specific.
Well, we've not seen the ritual, but nobody has seen the portal open except for us, I think.
Well, some of the King's Guild.
Yeah, but of the people that are here.
Yeah.
Can you describe the cocoon city to me? I may be able to figure out where the summoning portal will be.
Yeah, does it need to be in the open?
Or like a central chamber?
If something's gonna come through it, I mean.
You would know better than us. You've actually seen it.
I
only know about the books.
Is there anything Ro has scouted out?
We haven't gotten close enough to really see anything further. We know what it looks like and what's surrounded, but not what's actually there.
The portal in King's Arch, it changed the world around it. So, I mean, when we start getting close, if it's already open, we'll be able to navigate our way to that just by following the weirdness.
That seems like an easy solution then.
But hopefully he hasn't opened it yet.
Follow the disaster.
Yeah, and I would say I assume it should be in a place that's big enough for it to be, because I don't think a huge rift can be opened up in a tiny hole, so to speak.
How? Yeah, well, yeah, I would assume that as well, but.
So we would quickly also see it unless they have a very huge chamber underground.
And it depends as well if, are they opening a portal just to merge the planes together, or are they opening it so something can come through? Because if there's something coming through, then they'll need space for it, but if they're just trying to fuck the planes up, I mean, they could do that in a broom closet.
I think... I don't remember entirely, but I think somebody at some point mentioned that at least the Call of Ender is trying to bring something through.
Aye, but it depends if it's like a dragon or a halfling. You know, different size requirements and stuff, but I would assume it's out in the open somewhere as well.
From the voice you guys heard, or at least the noise, you're pretty sure it's quite large.
So yeah, my assumption is it'll be out in the open as well. How does scrying work?
Excuse me?
Well, we've had this guy talking in our head, right?
Right.
And we know his name.
Sure.
Is that enough to scry on someone?
It's enough, but the more you know, the easier it would be.
Are you capable of scrying, Aaron?
And they can prevent it from happening.
Technically, yes, but let me see if I need materials for that. I'm pretty sure I do, that I don't have. Yep, I don't have the materials.
Yeah, the
What do you
orb.
need?
Unless Sechiko has them.
Of course I do, darling.
Well, because Aaron's seen the book, and like, can you scry on the book?
But is it the same book, or is it a different book of like
Well, but
trilogy?
you're familiar with. It may be a different book, but you know what it's gonna look like and stuff. Would it be possible to do that?
No, you can only focus on a creature, you cannot focus on an item.
Oh, okay. Then I guess the guy that's been reading our minds.
Well, that's if that he's telling you his true name.
And they can potentially turn it against you.
In what way?
Well,
And we're
you
inside a
can
dome that's
see
protected.
them, but
But we're in. Sorry, as an OSC thing, they can't look back down the scry. They can see the sensor, but they can't.
They can see the sensor.
That's all. So he would know that he was being scryed on, but he can't like flip it around. That's not how the spell works. But like we're in a dome that shields us against him reading our thoughts, right? So
You-
would that not protect?
Can't do it inside the dome.
yeah.
The dome stops all divination magic.
Well, I could just leave
So-
and then go back. Yeah, that's not a problem.
Like, cause
But-
maybe we could use that to at least. I mean, is there any way we could somehow get a sense of his location or position based on? I mean, if he's looking into our minds, can we not, like, follow that thread back to him somehow?
If it was just magic, possibly. But I don't think this is magic.
You said it had to be a creature.
Yes.
Who says he is a creature anymore?
As long as he has consciousness, I guess it's a creature.
Yes. If he has at least some form of body, he's a creature still.
I don't expect us to be fighting
Well-
God over here. They're still
also-
technically a creature of some sort.
OOC thing, my safety C is 15 and he would have +5 modifier, so...
Alright.
Ugh.
Okay, switching into OOC mode, because this is an awkward discussion to have in character. Do we
Sure.
have any kind of spells that would help us, like, locate object or locate creature?
I can locate aberrations. If he's strong enough, which we expect, he would be like a big blip on my radar, which means I would be able to locate them inside the city easier.
That is a good plan.
You just have. There's a
Uh-oh.
limited range on the things. Have
But it's
I have
like
a
a
mile.
mile, right?
No,
I have
it's,
a mile.
oh, okay, he has a mile. Aaron's locate creatures, I think, 1,000 feet.
Yeah, but like the aberration thing is a mile. We could get within a mile of the city,
Yes.
do it then, and use it as a way to navigate our way towards where he is. In
Yeah, at this point you guys are pretty close to a mile anyway.
That is a very solid plan. I like that. That's
That is a
definitely part of whatever plan we do. Absolutely.
The thing is,
Um,
mine isn't exact. I can't just say he's in that building. I can say he's generally in that building-ish, but I can't say like if the 3 houses right next to each other. I can't say.
Oh
exactly
yeah, no,
how
yeah,
many.
It's more if
totally.
it's
But like, is
Probably
is
down
he?
or in the same level. As
Yeah,
was, I
is
think.
if he's like out amongst the golem army versus in the building or whatever. That's the kind of.
Yeah.
How long does it last for?
Depends if I see the spell slot or not. I expect us to be using a spell slot because this is the higher one.
Okay.
So let me double check it.
I
I think
think.
it lasts a minute.
I think if
Yes, a minute.
Okay. But really, we just need it for a sense of direction. Really, we need this. Is one of the few times where we need our compass to not be broken. So, if we can use that to
They-
at least point us in the right direction, then that's a
as
start.
another thought, they may necessarily not be in the city itself.
Yeah, which is something that will tell us.
Yeah, because
Right.
once we get into the city, if
Yeah,
it's
well,
still
if
far
we're,
away,
if we're
yeah.
if we're within a mile of the city, and we sense, and like there's a big blip in the city, then that's probably where he is. If we get there and there's not like a big obvious blip in the city, then we jump over that bridge when we come to it. But it's confirmation that there's something there.
Mind you,
and-
I will be out of senses probably because
Isn't
of
it?
how fucking massive amount of abrasion I would be seeing.
Yeah, and that's probably.
The thing is, I can be fine. It doesn't say I can't have a max number. It's just that it's probably gonna take me more than 6 seconds to say, that's the big blip. Massive horde of blips. Depending how close they are,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, I mean that's the other thing as well. This is a city of mind flayers.
But it's the next question. Who says he is a abjuration?
Aberration, you mean?
The abjuration is a spell
Yeah.
school.
I mean, we based on what we were talking about last session, we believe that he is like the alpha mind flayer.
In sort of a cluster-ish thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe he isn't an aberration, but if he's an aberration. God damn it, you've infected me with it now. If he's not an aberration, then we're fucked. So, I mean, yeah, fair point to point out, but unless you've got a better idea, we can't really do anything with that point.
Best I can do.
Yeah. All we can really do is detect aberrations. So, if he's not that, then we're back to square one. So, you know. Unless
It's
anybody's got any
Just
alternate plans.
something to keep in mind.
Yeah, it is something to keep in mind, but we can't build a plan based on that. So we have to at least have a plan A, and if plan A fails, then we'll have to figure something out, but we've got to have some sort of plan. We can't just say, yeah, well, none of our plans will work.
I'm just throwing out things I could do. There's a lot of things I can do.
Well,
But
you have a pretty a mage to assist you. Well, 2 mages to assist you, and a druid.
Nice.
A wizard. Okay, fine. Two wizards.
Yeah.
Technically, she's not a wizard. She's a sorcerer. Anyway, a wizard, a sorcerer, and a druid to help you. So.
It was like a joke.
A wizard, a sorcerer, and a druid walk into the Underdark.
I have a lot of things I can do, but
And they kill everything.
then that would leave me useless for the day.
Yeah, we need to save our resources if we're going in.
How long will it take to fix your guns?
My guns?
Yeah.
Like, all is fixed, I can fix. I need a workstation for my big one.
He broke it.
Okay.
Another thing, speaking of resources, I am using resources to make sure that some of us can see.
Oh, right, because you're not using the stone. You're using your spell slots.
I'm also using spell slots.
Why aren't we using the stone?
Because she ran out.
No, I have one
Oh.
left, but I did use 2 already today, and
Yeah.
there's 2
Well,
hours left.
so are you saying we should sleep for 8 hours before we do anything?
It's just
Okay.
Well, the thing is, for me to do anything, we have to sleep anyway. I don't have
And-
anything prepared today to help us locate anything.
I'm down to 60 hit points,
Yeah.
and my max is down to 96, and I don't remember how to fix that.
Greater restoration. I think.
OCC long rest, yeah. Or restoration.
Oh, long rest. Okay.
Yeah, and if we
That
can
would be
do
nice
that
getting
without
back
using a spell
29.
slot, that would probably be better.
Yeah.
It would be nice getting back my minus 29 hit points. Maximum points.
Yeah. So like from an OOC perspective, rather than we need to, from all of
8
this
hours would be
information we're throwing
nice,
out, we
but-
need to wrangle it into a plan. So
Do we
need
know-
to long rest? Yes or
It-
no?
It would be
Do we
nice,
know-
but I don't know if we have the time.
do we know how far away this city is?
You can see the glow, so you know it's at least.
It's
And
more-
from
You
what.
said, you said it was about a mile. A minute.
Yeah, it's a little bit more than a mile, so like.
We have a really good way of doing this.
I don't know.
Sering, you see the wall of a
Not
building,
metric
then it's a
system.
mile away, at least. Less than a mile
That's
away.
true.
Probably.
Yeah, if you got closer, you would be able to actually see some semblance of it.
So not only do we have the locate aberrations from a mile away, we've got Seren's vision from a mile away as well.
Unfortunately, it's dark, so she can't see
And
very
the
well.
city's like
She
a-
can
But the
see.
city's glowing, yeah.
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 So
You can see that at least.
Mhm.
So if we get within a mile, we've got a recon plan. So we'll call that plan R for recon. So we've got that. We've got like stage 1 of a plan.
We have recon, but we don't have
Stage
attack
0
rolls.
of a plan. It sounds like we need a long rest. That is what I'm hearing. We need a
That's-
long rest to get D back. We need a long rest for Aaron to change things, and a long rest for Seraphina to recharge.
Something
I
I
have
want to do.
my-
If so, I want to do my my recon now. Doesn't use the spell slots.
I was just. Yep.
I can use it later. Otherwise, it's fine.
Also, see, thing I have my arcane recovery still, so what I will be missing is one first spell slot because I need help, especially because I didn't use any spell.
So with the arcane
I'm-
recovery, how long does that take?
In
Short
short
rest.
rest.
Short rest. Okay. We need at least a short rest. A long rest would be good.
Yeah.
But we definitely aren't doing anything for at least an hour. Okay, so that's like step 0.
Okay.
Step
Step 0
1
take an
is
hour.
we've got a recon plan.
If this is out of
I think you're still out of game until you say you
Yeah.
are.
if either Seshiko or Daniela have the scry and they potentially have it today, we can use it to have more information before
What?
the next day to.
Oh yeah, okay.
So we use resources before the long rest,
Yes.
so we don't have to use
And-
more.
Unless
after.
we're short resting.
Yeah.
Unless we short rest it.
Yeah.
Well, it's not all magic
Well,
users that get
I
spells.
don't. Yeah,
I know,
I don't
but-
gain anything.
Well, but we can either long rest or short rest, and that's the decision that we need to make. But if we long rest, then we've got lots of options for what we do tonight. But that's 8 hours.
Yeah.
Whereas if we short rest, that's an hour. So like, that is like the final decision for us to make. So if we work out what we're doing when we get there, so that we know what spell slots we need, then we can work out if we need to long rest. So if we like do it that way, otherwise we'll decide to have a long rest and then realize we don't need to long rest and keep going backwards and forwards.
Yeah.
So the question is, should we do a primary recon now and then also do
Well-
a recon when we wake up?
Well,
If we
let's
wake up.
well, no, because we've not decided if we're long resting or short resting yet. Let's figure out what we're gonna do when we get to the city, and then we can figure out if we need to long rest or short rest, and then we can figure out if we're gonna do stuff in the morning or
But
not.
we could still take a short rest.
We will definitely be taking a short rest regardless.
Right.
Yeah, that's a given. We are doing a short rest.
In fact, I'll do that now. Saren's gonna sit and I'm gonna take
well,
hit
like-
dice.
After we've had this conversation, we will be having a short rest,
Okay.
like one way or another. Because I have no key points left. You're gonna get your arcane recovery.
And I
etc.
can identify it.
Yeah. But let's worry about that when we have a battle plan. Otherwise,
Okay.
we'll spend like 5 hours just planning
I
out our
have-
sleep.
I have one concerning question that can affect if we take a short or long rest after the
Okay.
recon. Is how long does it actually take to open up the long rift? And
We don't know.
It was pretty fast.
when will they push that?
Well, we don't
We don't
know how long before
Yeah.
getting the ritual started. We know roughly the rate at which the sphere grew, but that's all the info that we have. So we have no idea how long it takes, basically.
From what you remember, there was 3 things that happened. There was the loud noise, there was the crackling, and then the rift opened.
Yeah.
Okay,
But
so we will be woken up anyway.
Yeah, we'll know.
yeah,
Okay. It was
Yeah.
more if they open a rift and in sequence while we are sleeping managed to destroy the world.
well the thing is though, if we decide to take a long rest and they open the rift in the middle of our long rest, we don't get the benefit of having had a long rest. So they will decide whether or not we get a long rest. Whereas if
technically, yes.
we take a short rest, then there is a chance that we can get there before they open the rift.
Yeah, but
That is the difference. But let's decide what we're doing when we get there before we once again discuss the sleep thing, because that's
Right.
just a circle.
As
Yeah, but what
my-
we
my-
do depends whether we long sleep or
Well,
short sleep.
No, what we do dictates, what we plan to do dictates whether we long rest or short rest. So let's figure out what our best strategy there is, so that will tell us if we long rest or short rest. Because we've been discussing whether to long rest or short rest for 15 minutes and we've not got anywhere.
Do you want to come out of back into character and talk to the rest of the NPCs about what you can do as a plan? Or...
My only opinion is that at least I would prefer that we go in with basically everything we got and full resources.
Yeah,
and
we'll
hit points. But yeah,
talk about that later, please. We're not getting anywhere.
that's the only thing I have to say about
Yeah,
it.
and we were all in the same boat, and we've all said
yes.
that. So can we
That's
move on,
preferable,
please?
but can we-
Well, without long rest, I can do anything. So we'll
Oh.
help you guys locate it.
Oh, as in
That's
you
it.
can't swap spells, yeah.
Yeah, but we have a location. We have like a recon plan that might be enough, and we have other people who could scry, which might be enough. So let's again focus on what we're gonna do when we get there, not
As I'm
what
saying,
we're gonna
I cannot
do
do
hours
anything.
before.
I cannot do anything. That's what I'm saying.
Have you got any heals left at all?
Yeah. I'm saying I cannot do anything locational.
Yeah,
I
that's
cannot
fine.
locate
That's
anything,
fine.
any information.
Okay.
about it.
That's
fine.
fine, but we've already talked about 3 or 4 alternatives to that, so we know we can talk to one of the other people about scrying. We've got Savant who can do his ranged sensing thing. We've got Saren who can see things from a mile away. So we have alternatives to that. So what are we actually going to do when we get there? Like, are we just gonna charge in? Are we gonna try and sneak in? Are we gonna try and get high up and like paraglide over the walls? Are we gonna what?
Well,
that
Ro
changes
did
whether we
say
sleep
that
or
it's
not.
a cocoon, so there really aren't walls per
Well,
se to go over.
Not over the walls, but over the army certainly.
Right.
Because
Well-
if there's an army of
I
golems, do
don't-
we go through the army or do we go over?
Arkan said he was going to give you a path.
If you
Yeah,
give us a
if-
path, that's
give us a
fine. I would also
distraction.
like if the other spellcasters that isn't us, if they could cast invisibility on us, just to give us an extra hand for the not so stealth people.
I have that spell prepared.
Potentially,
I said
but
that isn't us. If they can.
but bear in mind there's also a psychic guy. So
Yeah.
the invisibility might help getting past like a golem army, although golems can't see very well.
Yeah, but they do have souls now, so we don't know what they can do.
Well, no, but we know what the ones on the bridge could do,
Yes.
True.
and they couldn't see very far because I physically tested that myself, so that's what I'm basing it off.
But
But
Yeah,
yeah,
are
it's
we-
a
are we
junior
go- are
golem
we
and
gonna-
non-junior golem.
Are we gonna have we've got 2 choices. We can either have God damn it, I want to call him Arcan. No, that's not his name. Arcantile. He says that he can make a path for us to get in. So that's like the kicking down the front door option. Or do we want them distracting so that we can sneak in? That's the first decision to make. Are we going like kick down the front door, or are we going to try and go for some degree of stealth?
I say we.
I think
It
that
gives
would
us the
be
biggest option.
that would be easier to figure out when we know how the land looks. And the action table did suggest for them to be the distraction, basically.
Yeah, I know. With that, either way, they will be doing some. They will either be opening the door for us or causing a distraction. Either way, that's fine. It's whether we are going to try and sneak, or whether we're just going to charge down the middle and hope for the best. So which of those two?
I say we sneak.
I say we see how the land looks to figure out what
But
we
what
actually
what
can do.
difference would it make? How the land looks like yeah, okay, we obviously will decide things once we've seen, but that doesn't help us decide about the long rest or short rest. Because if you're going to say we need to see how the land looks, then we need to stop the discussion right now, go outside and look.
Well,
Okay, let's stop the discussion now and go
How-
outside and
how-
look.
this is a question to Ambi. How much did Ro tell us about the place?
She didn't get to say too much. She said it looked like a cocoon. That it was guarded around the outskirts by golems. You hadn't asked her too much. You can ask her in detail.
He also
I
did
I
say they
thought-
couldn't get too close.
I thought
Yeah,
she
she
gave us,
didn't-
like a whole download last session?
Yeah, that was pretty much it.
That
Because
was
she couldn't get
right.
close enough. Because
And
there were
when we drew
golems.
the map and stuff.
Yeah.
That wasn't she. We'd asked her to draw on what she'd scouted out. So
Yeah, the closest she could get was yeah, I'll do it on the map. That the cocoon's in the center, and there is a outskirt rim.
I will have that
Oops.
described to me what actually is, because
A rim.
what? Yeah, what do you mean by a rim? Do you mean like a wall or like a raised platform or what?
From what she could tell, it was an edge of the floor. It seemed to rise up and then cut
So
off.
it's like on a platform, basically.
Elevation change.
Okay.
And the
did you
cocoon
see any
was kind of,
gate or entrance or.
From what she could see, no. From that distance, it was about. She was still a good 100, 200 feet away to keep out of the way of the golems.
Could you just mark where 100, 200 feet away counts on the map?
Sure. It's about. Be about here.
Okay. So she was safely able to get to about there, which is plenty of range for these eyes and for Savants. Sense.
Yes.
Just as a resource question is, how much time do we think it will take?
To get there?
Not when we get there and if we go in.
Like an hour at most. If it's
most,
a mile but we're
yeah.
sneaking,
Yeah,
then that's half speed. So and normally the average walking speed for D&D is based on 3 miles an hour.
I was
Probably, yeah.
talking about from now to if we decide to go in and to be basically.
That depends whether we have a long rest or not.
Yeah.
From now. So it will either be 2 hours or 9 hours.
It could be
I'm-
done too.
I'm asking that question because Aaron Silvina got 2 hours left on the dark vision.
Mm.
I have 1 charge left, so I would only use 1 spell slot.
Then it's not too much of a
And then
How well, with the city's glowing, how light is it?
It's dim light. You
That's
would say,
enough
yeah.
most of the time for us.
Yeah.
for the rest of you, it would be bright light.
The other thing as well is if we're gonna kick down the front door or whatever, then we can just turn light on. I mean, we don't have to see in the dark if they know we're coming and have the lights on.
Pretty much.
So,
Mhm. It won't go in with a siren, we can.
yeah.
I
But it sounds like the city is on raised terrain with a good vantage point, and when you say a rim, is it just the ground slopes up to it, or is there like a cliff?
It seems to cut off from what you can see at the distance.
Could he?
What do you
could
mean
see-
by cut off though? Like is there a cliff that we would have to climb up, or is there a slope we could walk?
It kind of slopes, and it seems to either disappear or drop. She's not sure.
Oh, so the city is lower.
She can still see it. Oh,
Right,
like-
but
the
it
city's
goes a
in
little bit lower.
The city's in a crater, not on a plateau.
It seems to be in a crater.
Okay.
Then we're definitely gonna want our hang gliders with us too.
That might be a way of doing it, yeah. Is there any high ground around it?
The
So we get
the
hang
raised
gliders.
ridge, yeah. That's pretty much it.
But like the edge of the cavern or anything? Like, is it a sheer face?
The the chamber's edge.
Yeah. How basically how much higher can we get than the city closer to the city?
The ridge is pretty much it.
By ridge, do you mean the ridge around the edge? Or
Yeah,
do
the
you-
ridge around the sea,
Okay.
and
so
it's actually a little bit more circular than that.
we couldn't climb up to the crack and hang glide down or anything.
Yeah, it's more like that.
Like, I have a question. Like, would we be able to climb this wall? Because we did walk this wall.
It is very sharp. You can, but again, it would
Well,
be
people
difficult
that can run
terrain.
up walls, right?
Yeah, we have people running
Oh,
up walls, but that's only 2 people.
Yes, but I was thinking if we maybe be able to make a, because we can do the portable hole on the wall.
Only for like a minute.
On a one.
Not enough to do a full incursion.
I was more thinking like have people ready in the portable hole and they just jump out with gliders, basically like.
I don't think there's
But-
enough room to be
but
that much prepared.
Yeah.
The wall is like that though, so we would have to do a big loop around the hang glide towards the base, and we've only got 2 gliders.
Okay.
And they're probably don't they have a wingspan bigger than the portable hole as well?
Yes.
Yeah, but they were foldable.
Yeah, but to fly out of the portable hole, you need to have the glider set up inside the portable hole.
True. I guess.
So
As a comment to a thing
Nothing
you
to
need
drop,
to
huh?
said with the invisibility, where he mentioned that the other people should make us invisible. They need their resources
yeah.
since they have to fight.
The thing is as well, we're going up against a foe who can look into our minds. He presumably
well, we
knows how
can
many. Sorry, what was that?
How are we going to be able to sleep when this adversary can read our mind?
Exactly, and like is a distraction going to work if he knows how many of us there are?
I'm technically not worried about him, but everything else. The army.
But if he's in charge of the army,
And
They
he
would
reads our
try- yeah.
minds. He's going to
Yeah.
know where we are. He can direct the army.
Yeah. If strategic command knows where we are, we're fucked.
yeah. Well, but like we have to assume that he does.
We do have a chance to hide from them, so
We-
they don't
We
directly
have a
see us right
chance.
away.
We have a chance to hide.
You actually, Ulan, you can give me a check. Actually, all of you can give me an intelligence check. Actually, at this point,
Okay.
Hey, don't not.
because I want to see how much you can recognize from what he's been saying
Yeah,
to you
I'm
guys.
sorry. That's...
Oh,
Wow. Well,
If more is way to.
Oh, I need to do one for Seneca as well, don't I?
yeah, you can. Yeah. Oh,
Apparently at that advantage.
is that advantage? But it's still the same
Oh,
number. I'm pretty sure.
Why is it an advantage?
I have no idea. That's fine. Same number. You wrote the same as Synergy. That's hilarious. So the highest was 23, 18, and then 15. Okay. So those with 15 and 18. So Aaron, Ulan, and Synergy as well, technically. You three, from what he's been saying, and especially considering you're in this bubble, he doesn't seem to know where you are. Otherwise, this place would be swarmed right now.
Okay.
It seems to be more along the same lines as Detect Thoughts, where you can just see
I will
your...
open walkie-talkie with him all the time.
Yeah, it's more of that
He knows
than...
surface spots and he can go deeper.
But okay, so he's not necessarily gonna be able to see us like pings on a radar. But,
That's what it seems.
We do have to keep in mind that if
can't
we
mentally
think
discuss
about
it.
how we're getting in there, he may know how we're getting in there.
Yes, because
so
he
we
knows
can't
surface spots.
assume that any sneaking plan will be foolproof. And
If you say trying to sneak around Paris and you see the Eiffel Tower, the fact
Exact,
that
yeah.
you just know where you are. The fact that you've seen the Eiffel Tower, you've seen the Arc de
Knows it
Triomphe,
now.
we're left to
And,
know where
and
you
there's
are.
also the point that like if he knows how many of us there are and he only sees half of us fighting at the front gates, is he going to think, okay, the others are trying to sneak in, let's pull back some of my forces to protect me, in which case the idea of them distracting the army isn't necessarily going to work, because they won't distract all of the army.
Then I have a question for
who says he can see?
What do you mean, who says he can see? What does that even mean?
You
He
said
doesn't
he
need to
can
see.
see how many there's at the gates.
Well, no,
How-
he is not necessarily see, but he is aware of how many different people's minds he's reading, because he can selectively have conversations with us.
And And also
he's
you can communicate with his forces, and he can say
Depends
to them
on
how many people do you see.
if they have a mind or not.
but like he knows like if there is
But yeah.
a battle going on out the front and Ulan is not there, he's gonna know that Ulan is not there because he's had a private psychic conversation with Ulan.
But he doesn't know where Ulan is.
He doesn't know where Ulan is, but he
Yes.
knows if he's not. If it's like, okay, I know that there's a dozen people down here. There are only 6 fighting us at the front gate. That's going
Where's
to
the
change
rest?
his strategy. Oh, we lost D.
That's if he can actually have a proper conversation with the golems.
Yeah, but if they have souls, he technically can.
Well, it's not whether or not he can have a conversation with golems. I mean, can he not look out a window?
That's depending where he is.
Also,
But we don't know that.
he's got
Yeah.
one
Is the point.
golem.
Yeah, that's why I was bringing
What's
up.
the plan on that? I mean, we're on the thin line between like what makes sense OOC and what makes sense for our characters to.
Oh, which actually, from last week, Ro did tell you there isn't much in the way of windows. There's one opening in the center,
but
and
metagame,
that's all she could see.
We're on a thin line of metagaming here right now.
Yeah, that's why I was clearing up
Yeah.
any points. Additionally, Serafina, with 23, from what he's been directly saying to you guys, especially from his last conversation, he said I, which is very specific to him personally, which is it's odd from what you know about Illithids.
They'll probably say we,
Yeah.
because they're connected.
Okay, so he's a Artorian monarchy. That doesn't say anything to us, except you have a political vision.
We did also talk about the thing with that he and the Elder Brain was two separate groups, which they probably are.
What? What's two separate groups?
The Alpha and the Elder Brain, that they were not working together.
Oh no, we didn't. No, it wasn't that at all. It was like the Elder Brain is like a shared consciousness, but it's not necessarily like the leader of the Illithid society. So it's like the difference between like a president and parliament.
Well, that's how my mind went. It's basically two separate.
But we don't actually have. There's nothing that's actually told us that.
No, they could be two separate beings, but they could still work
Well,
together.
no,
so it doesn't change
they're
anything.
separate beings, but we don't know that they're separate factions that aren't working together. That's a really big assumption that kind of throws everything off.
And it sounds like it's
Yes,
more
it's
Artorian
more
than
It's a
oligarchy.
fault.
The Elder Brain is the Queen, and the Alpha is the Prime Minister. Sort of thing.
Kind of, yeah.
At least that.
And as we saw before, if we take out Elder Brain, it would really fuck with them, but we can't really.
Well, he
end
may
it.
necessarily not be an Illithid. It's just something we've been assuming. We haven't
Well,
seen.
yeah, but again, like if we
can't
say, well,
assume
we don't
that
know
he's
he's
a
an
dwarf or
Illithid,
something.
then we need to spend like several days trying to figure out what he is. By which time the portal will be open and the world has ended.
We need
So
to
that-
take an assumption that he is our common enemy.
There's got to be a point where we just have to like go with our best guess and hope for the
I
best.
didn't say we had to change it. I just.
But I know you're not saying that, but like if you think through what you're saying, that like they might be two separate groups. So does that mean that this guy isn't in the Cocoon City at all? Because he could be, if he's not with the main Illithids, then maybe he's somewhere completely different.
That's.
In which case we don't know where he is, so we can't. You know, it doesn't really help us to think about that.
That it was also one of the things we wanted to figure out. With the.
Yes, but that I can do when I do my
Yes.
Yeah.
But
Well,
until then, we need to assume that it is an elephant. That's the only logical thing to do.
Yeah,
But-
if we leave a question mark in that head, then when we have to come up with an entirely separate plan
And
to
it's
figure out if he's an Illithid or not,
me
so that
as
we
a
can.
player that divided it.
Well, sorry, I didn't catch that.
It's me as a player that did the separation.
Yeah, but if you do you get what I'm saying though?
I do.
If we have doubt in our minds whether or not he's an illithid, then we need to spend spells and time and everything figuring out if he's an illithid or not. So that is like an entire extra series of things that we need to do. So
understood. Got your point.
The thing is, I don't think we've actually been shown anything to suggest it's not an illithid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's shown more than he is.
I mean, and we kind of have a fairly solid hint that illithids are at the top of whatever this is, because we had the drow being turned into illithids. We have the Duragar working for the illithids. So if he's not an illithid, then he is certainly pulling the strings of the illithids. So it's a safe assumption that the illithid city is where whoever is trying to open this portal is, because that's where all of the roads have led to.
One last thought regarding to that, and is we know the book changes people. He may be an illithid, but the book could have changed him, which could have separated him from the rest of them. Which is why he says I instead of we.
Or he could just say I instead of we because he's like the leader one. That's like more of a personality change than anything else. And like if the book is going to have changed him into anything, it's probably going to have changed him into an aberration anyway.
Yeah.
Which obviously illithids already are. So that doesn't undermine our plan to scan for illithids. Basically.
It just makes him more defined.
Yeah.
It's all it does.
Wait. Good. I detected magic on the. I think the book was on Wilbur at that time, and I detected magic. So I technically know what tool of magic the book is. I have to find it in my notes.
I imagine it's the same school of magic as opening portals.
Yes, it would have been Conjuration, I believe.
Yeah. I just found God damn it.
I remember you first said necromantic, and like, no, that doesn't really
No, yeah. It's Conjuration, yes.
Okay. Okay, so basically we can spend... We basically still got the same two pairs of choices, basically. So choice 1 is the rest choice, and choice 2 is whether we spend spells and resources to try and be invisible, try and be invisible and sneak in, or if we save spells and resources to just kick it down the front door. So it basically boils down to that two sets of choices.
The question is, are we blitzing or are we in?
Oh gosh, two people talking at once. Owen, so if you go first.
He wanted to meet us, so we might not even have to fight in. So we might be able to save everything up for when we get there.
I think that was like an evil villain invitation rather than like a genuine come and have tea invitation. So if we walked in, we would walk in under like an escort surrounded by soldiers.
Yeah. Well,
so we would be there in chains rather than there capable of stopping him.
Yeah, what I'm saying is we're prepared to fight in, but we might be able to, depending on how loud it really was.
Yeah, because we're talking about the sparing resources, sneaking would be better for us.
But the sneaking involves invisibility. Your idea with the sneaking was to turn us invisible, which uses resources.
It's less resources than we would have to use in a battle with that many enemies.
It depends, because the plan that Arken has suggested is that he and the Ashen Table will make a path through the army for us, so we won't be using any resources trying to fight. Whereas if we're going to sneak in invisibly, then somebody needs to spend spells to make us invisible. So I guess there is resources used both ways. It's whether the resources used on us being invisible versus the resource used on us running through whatever opening Argon can create. That's the trade-off. Yeah, I mean, what even was Arcan's proposal? Not Arcan. Arcantile.
He
damn it.
said they were enough to.
No, I was asking Ambi because he didn't elaborate on that. What he said to us is that there's enough of them to clear a path for us, which
Yep.
to me sounds like we don't need to do anything to clear the path, so we're not using resources to get through.
You haven't gone into detail, but that
But
seems
yeah.
what it is.
But yeah, but I mean, if he wants to elaborate, then that would be great.
Sure. I imagine this is like the entire conversation, but extra.
This is like cliff notes of the conversation.
Yeah, this is cliff notes of some. This is the patch notes. Where as he's talking, he does tell you mostly the plan, which is generally breaking down the door. But the group of them, the 6 of them, yeah, 6 of them, breaking through a path and basically distracting them in a way that you guys can go straight through the middle of. And with your scrying or locating of aberrations, finding exactly where this ritual is taking place and go in the direct route.
And so, if we were to sneak in, what would the Ashen Table do if we were sneaking? Would the Ashen Table sneak with us, or would they try and create a distraction at the front door?
Sneaking in is definitely a possibility. Instead of it being breaking down the front door, they would break down every other door and just cause a level of chaos inside instead of outside.
So we could potentially, we're potentially looking at a Zara and Kishore situation in against Thordak, where it's like they will keep the stuff off our back while we go in for the boss fight. But do we?
That could be made. They're strong fighters.
Yeah.
Question. Is it possible to amplify the detect magic spell?
Oh, technically no.
What you mean at like a higher?
It's an in-game
slots.
question.
Yeah, I would say. Oh, you're asking Ark me or me, the DM?
I'm asking in-game.
Okay. The detect magic spell. Generally, no. There are foci you can use to increase its radii, but generally, no. Why? Is there something you're going to use it for?
We know the school of the magic, the book, which magic school it's surrounded by. That we possibly could, as Savan can do with a use, that we potentially can detect the book.
Well,
Maybe other things that it conjuration magic, but
I know my teacher can do over a long distance, but that's usually a long ritual. Anything more than...
Your teacher?
Yes.
Who is that? Anyone we know?
If you've been to the Arcanum College, possibly.
Yep.
Is it important?
No, I'm just curious. I mean,
Oh, all right. Well, you've. It's possible you may have met the headmaster, Mistress.
I did, in fact.
Ethics.
She's quite nice.
Well, she is my teacher.
yeah.
Oh, cool.
The reason I'm to eventually take her place.
Oh, really?
Eventually.
Which may not be a thing that happens if you guys try and take on an entire army of golems on your own.
Golems won't be a problem.
What I'm more concerned about is the illithids that are past the golems. Potentially.
And that's why I brought this. And she pulls up the sword that he's had at his side. And now that it's completely unsheathed, it's definitely not made of any type of metal. The entirety of its blade is made of this crystal, which is both translucent and opaque with this almost mist that flows through it. When you previously got a glimpse, it had almost tinges of purple in the crystal itself. Now it's got shades of blue that are flowing through it in this mist that is both on the surface but also kind of trapped within the crystal in this full-length greatsword, and just puts it onto the stone table. That is why we brought this. Illithids won't stand a chance.
What does it do?
It is an abomination slayer. Aberration slayer.
That's a catchy name.
Well, its name is Absolution.
Well, that's an even catchier name.
It is the one gift given to us from the Master of the Forge. We're going to put it to use.
That's why you were there.
To collect.
Yes.
This looks like similar material to my spear.
It almost does. However, yours is glowing with your lovely peachy colour.
What's the deal with the glowing?
It contains part of your essence. Or better to say, your alignment.
Okay.
This is a weapon that stands for good.
And it presumably then needs to be wielded by someone good.
Yes, it has a few prerequisites. It's not the most optimal weapon, but in this case, it definitely does the business.
I always see question, what's alignment?
Neutral.
Local neutral.
Is there anybody in our party who is any kind of good?
Darren
I
is.
am.
Samantha
Darren's
is.
good?
Yes.
Darren is. She and I went up in alignment.
Yeah, she went back up.
After basically
Chaotic.
Samantha roping it in to be do a very good thing.
Okay. More toys for Saren, I guess, then.
So, we have some semblance of an idea of what we're doing. Although it's probably going to change when we get closer. Having an idea of actually what's...
Contact with the enemy, so...
Knowing where the enemy is will be the final line we need to figure out where we travel.
So the question is, do we go with speed or do we go with preparedness? Because we can rest up and recuperate briefly and then be there in a couple of hours, or we can take an evening and go with our full strength.
We're taking a short rest first, right?
Yeah, that's a given.
So while we're doing the short rest, I don't do short rest because I don't need to regain or can regain anything. Can I help Sachiko with his crying?
How would you help?
Well, I know the spell, I know the ritual, I know the...
You know ritual.
and everything.
Shoulder massage?
You're the only one who's heard the target, so even then it's still a +5, but It is.
Wait, Sechiko's heard the target as well.
Yeah,
Because he-
Yes,
speaking
she was
of
outside
that,
as well. No, that's
I
true.
don't have the spell prepared right now, but I would like to help her do
Yeah.
while we're resting. So we have.
I would say if it is successful, you would also gain the benefits of seeing. But
Do they have to do it like the scene in Ghost?
no, it's opposites.
Aww.
Opposite around the orb. Sorry. However, you can definitely try and assist her on it. It's a spell she just said she was going to cast previously anyway.
Yep.
Arkan does tell you the rest of us do still have our capabilities, so getting you in will be our prerogative.
Perhaps the best plan now then would be for Aaron and Sechiko to scry on our friend. If he is in the middle of performing the ritual right now, then we just have to go. If he's not yet ready, then maybe we can have some time.
Hopefully it'll work.
Do I want to spend time on identifying the wand?
You could do that during a short rest and still get the benefit
No,
of a short rest, right?
I have to do it separate from the short rest because
How long does it take?
11
10
minutes.
minutes.
So
11
we can take a short rest that is an hour and 11 minutes long.
Yeah, that's not a problem.
Right.
Uh,
We'll do something during the.
Okay, so let's go with that plan, and then we'll
Yes.
figure out what to do based on what Aaron and Sechiko see, if they see anything. If he detects the scry, then I guess we probably just have to go straight away, because we'll have tipped our hand, and he'll probably accelerate his timetable.
Yeah, I will start with the short rest.
So yeah. So who is gonna miss out on what if we don't long rest?
It's mainly going to be the ones that have lost hit
Which
points.
is only
Saren
and
Savannah.
oh Savannah as well.
Oh, and if
And
more.
it's only I'm only down 9 from my max hit points, so it's not that bad.
How
And Aaron
much is
spells.
I'm
Savannah?
at half health.
we can say half my maximum hit point is gone.
Half your max. Okay.
But it's fine, I'm a ranged character, I'm fine.
And how bad is Ithamore?
Half my max is gone as well.
Ooh.
So you're down to how many?
43.
Wait, you've
Is-
lost from your max 43 hit points.
Yeah.
Oh.
How did that even happen?
That's
That's
I don't know,
the
that's
giant
on the
creature.
character sheet.
Sorry, could you try that one at a time? What was it that did it?
I said, that's just what I got down on my character sheet.
The beginning.
The
That's not-
behemoth caused it.
I don't think the
Oh, yeah,
behemoth
like
caused
got
it.
Chewed on by the behemoth for about 3 rounds.
That wasn't dropping your max health though.
What was it taking a max health? Because
That was the ghouls.
was it ghouls? Okay, then.
No, sorry, it was the mosquitoes.
Did I even get attack? No, because I got super hit because.
Yeah, you got like 3 of them on you.
No. Then it would only be like 9. I
No,
got
there was
20.
like the big behemoth, and there was 2 big ones as well. That was not good.
Yeah, did the other big things too? I know it's one bigger thing because I lost a giant fucking number because I got critted
Yeah,
and it asked to.
The clay golems or whatever.
Clay golems, thank you,
Oh, is
yes.
that what did it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I remember I critted Sarah and then I critted Savannah, yeah.
I
And
lost a
is
shit ton of
there
it.
anyone from the Ashen Table who can do Greater Restoration?
Sechiko.
Is that the only thing spell-wise that would restore it?
It's... Ooh, actually, let's have a look at the spell.
Would it be greater or?
I
Yeah,
believe
guess
it's...
it would have to be
Oh,
Greater.
yeah, it's actually going to have to be greater, which she's not going to
Yeah.
be able to do much.
Yeah, and the scrying is the same level as Greater Restoration.
5th, yeah.
Is she able to do 3?
No.
Okay.
you only get to 5th level.
As I said,
first
I'm
ones.
fine. I'm fine with lesser health because I can do second wind.
Yeah. One effect reducing the target's max hit points. Yeah.
So does she have 2 5th level spells that she can use?
Possibly. Double check.
Every spellcaster gets 2 5th level spell slots.
Yeah, it depends what level.
But it's has she got them yet, though? Is the question.
Hmm.
Because you don't get 2 at once.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, she's gone. Just
If you have 2, then use it on Ikamura and the Scry.
Yeah, but then we have no. Yeah, okay.
then yeah,
But
she
then
needs to do
they're
it for Scry.
They're holding the thing, and that's not a problem.
So she can only do 1 because she needs 1 for Scry.
Yeah, so we'll do the scry. How long does Great Restoration take?
Greater Restoration is just an action.
So okay, so we'll do the scry. If he's already started the ritual, or if he gets tipped off and is probably going to accelerate his timetable, then we'll definitely do Greater Restoration on Ithelmore, and we'll go. If they do the scry and he doesn't notice and doesn't appear to have started the ritual yet, then we'll think about whether or not we're going to do a long rest and not spend that 5th spell.
And Ithamore, you didn't take maximum damage. You're still 84 as your max.
I thought I took damage from being chewed on by the Behemoth.
Yeah, that's
Your
just damage.
but
That was
your
just damage.
hasn't dropped, right?
Yeah.
No, that's what I mean. I'm down to 43 out of 86.
But your maximum is still fine.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
then
we
you're
don't
fine.
need to do Greater Restoration on you. You can just heal up with hit dice.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's only Savant and Seren that need a restoration, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, and technically, really, for 9 hit points, I really wouldn't need it.
So
It's half for 9. You know.
Yeah. So if the situation is like we're well and truly fucked, we have to go now, then we'll do Greater Restoration on Savant.
Yes.
If not, then we'll think about whether or not we can afford to long rest and get it back without spending any spells.
Okay.
I just don't think he will get his hit point back from then.
Didn't Ambi just say that having a long rest
He
would
will
fix
get
it?
his max, but I don't think he will kill them too.
Excuse
Yeah,
me?
you won't regenerate them.
But
when they
then
go
we
back.
can use hit dice to recover it, or we can use healing spells or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's fine if I have health. I can use like second wind if I get taken damage. It's
Yeah,
fine.
well, but like the
We also
important thing
have
is getting his
potions
max back
somewhere.
up.
You
have
do
potions
still have
actually.
potions.
Oh, do we? I don't.
We have potions somewhere.
I don't.
I don't. But
There should be some in the bag of holding, I think.
Oh.
They were on
then
Ulan.
you have some,
This,
if I'm not mistaken.
We're pretty much out if I remember correctly.
I've got a couple of potions on me.
He's got a single regular healing potion on him. That's all. It's on Senega's character sheet.
I think we should figure out how many potions we actually.
Yeah, I've got 1 of greater healing and 1 of regular.
And on
I've got 2 greats and 1 minor.
Okay.
Okay, well let's do. How long does the scrying take?
Scrying is like 10 minutes.
Okay.
Last 10 minutes, but it only takes. Let's check. I believe it's only a minute.
Casting times 10 minutes.
Oh, it is a 10-minute casting time. Okay.
Okay. So Seraphina, do your identify. Sechiko and Aaron,
Start with
do
the-
your scry. After that, we will short rest.
Okay.
Regardless, and if we need to get Savant, greater restoration, we'll do greater restoration and then short rest, so that he can use hit dice to recover what's been restored.
I'm just going to
Okay.
show that on camera.
Okay.
Just to...
If we
Okay.
do it as a plan, I can make 4 people invisible.
But did you roll not 20 on your
Okay,
scrying
well,
save?
but we'll work that out
It's fine.
once we've got past the
I
scry thing.
hate you.
No.
It's just in case I forget.
So, as you guys are beginning your rest, and
What was that you were showing on camera, Ambi?
it's alright, you'll see it, and you'll hear it in a second. And Seraphina begins doing the ritual for Identify. Aaron, you sit down in front of Sechiko, who already has her eyes closed and her hand over the orb. She kind of reaches out for you to assist her
Oh yeah.
and takes your hands and places them on the orb as well. And you feel the sensation of the orb beginning to pulse and vibrate as it kind of gives off these almost waves of energy. As the spell comes into completion, you feel a drop of your body as your mind escapes into the atmosphere. And you are thrown without any direction to what looks like an island surrounded in green mist. And scatters of shadows between pillars in every direction. You flip your head around, and then in one direction you see a mound, which becomes unclear for a moment, and then comes into focus very slowly as you see this mound take the shape of a giant brain. And you see across it chains. As you look around, and I take in more of the details, you see a figure clearly marked with black leather across a robe, which is tattered in several places, and an energy that seems to almost vibrate around them, as the mist itself doesn't seem to collect around him. In his hand, you see a tome about 2 feet wide. This huge book he's holding. You cannot hear noise, but you can see. He does not seem to be paying attention. You look around, taking more of the surroundings, and you look up, and you see directly above where you are this giant structure that seems to be directly above you, which seems to swirl into its construction, almost pulling itself out of this green mist that surrounds you, and attaches as some type of building above you. You do give me a perception check as well. I would say for this, do it at disadvantage because this is going to be outside the 10 feet radius.
Okay, while I'm doing this, do I hear anything?
You do hear him speaking, but it is in a language you don't understand.
So it looks like he's reading the book.
The book is open, yes. 16. Damn. Alright. You do also notice a singular orb just out of your boundary of vision, which almost looks like a bubble of spectrum light that begins to spin around it and collect inside. And there are 2 humanoids standing on either side. You would assume they are also illithids, which seem to be holding their hands out, maintaining this energy that seems to be coalescing inside this orb that's on a pedestal. And then you're thrown back eye to eye with Sechiko, with the orb now dimmed out between the 2 of you.
That's not good.
Oh, well, that was interesting. I'm actually surprised that worked.
In real time, I will tell them what I saw.
Okay. And Aaron relays the information of what he saw.
That's a defining building.
I guess the building would be like something unusual.
It was rather big, and it did spiral into a circle, from what you could tell.
Well, once we would probably be in a city, we would probably be sure what building is that.
This is a weird question, but can Aaron describe it to Savant so he can try to figure out with his architectural knowledge how big the building would be?
It's difficult considering it was outside the 10-foot vision.
Okay.
So it was a blur. You can see these spirals coming out of the mists around him, which began to coalesce into this circle directly above him, which you can assume is a structure.
That was the having to go, by the way.
So, is the Elder Brain a prisoner?
Not sure. And we'll take a break there as you guys take in this information.
I mean,